Yeah, I can't lie, lads. This isn't ideal. Flipping heck, man. My Pokemon collection's in there. Ah, dark, man. There goes my 10k PC. Ah, man. I think my Nan was in there. Darren. Sorry, what? All right, listen up here. What the f is going on? The whole block's on fire? I need to know why. Security, go get the tapes. Let me get this straight, guys. You were playing this in a block of flats indoors. Yeah, you know what, officer? In hindsight, maybe we should have gone with less fireworks. Yo guys, it is your boy Nirin here, and you are watching FTW. This, of course, is the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. Again, before we get into this one, I want to say a massive thank you to you guys for the support on this series always. If we can get to 6,000 likes, I'd really appreciate it, just so we make sure the algorithm keeps showing it you every single week. But what has been kicking off in the world this week? Well, it's a catastrophe for British nostalgia merchants, because gaming chain Game has announced that stores will be closing across the UK. The game has quite literally gone.
The game's gone.
Rest in peace, man, honestly, to all the fallen soldiers of this country, man. I can't deal with this anymore. I'll be reminiscing back to the times where I was a loser queuing for FIFA at midnight. Who am I kidding? I'm still one now. I can't wait to see them all replaced by vape shops on the high street, because that's what happens to every store these days. Fucking hell, they've done it again. Now, on to the football, though. And what's that in the shop? It's a Red Bull. I don't know if you were expecting me to say a Carabao energy drink, but I ain't ever seen one of those in person. The E-Numbers Invitational was back in full force for the semi-final second legs this week. And first up would be a clash between two men aiming for the most LinkedIn posts this year. The only table Chelsea are likely to be on top of this campaign. Liam Rosenior would be taking a break from aging men through the medium of Kinect to face Mikel Arteta. The first leg had Arsenal up at 3-2 after a slim win at Stamford Bridge. Kepa Arrizabalaga cosplayed as a goalkeeper against his former side, coming off the pitch after conceding 2 to Ellen DeGenerate. Couldn't have been particularly positive.
Is he walking away from the job?
And Arsenal heeded that warning of Kepa underperforming last time by playing him again here. Now, the Gunners were aiming, I think, to blind their audience into not seeing that Kepa Arrizabalaga was in goal with this epileptic nightmare of a light show before kickoff. It must have blinded Arsenal's players as they were warming up on Chelsea's half of the pitch, something that had Liam Rosenior kicking off before kickoff. It must get pretty tense between himself and his missus at night when she claims a little bit too much of her bed sheets again.
Right, Jim, not happy at all.
But the game was underway and it was a tense affair here. Mark Cucurella was sent flying, quite literally yelling timber as he hit the floor this time. Meanwhile, Mikel Arteta was firmly distracted down the touchline. Liam Rosenior wanted to show Mikel who was boss though. Get an alpha male advantage against his Arsenal opponent by producing a Jogo Benito touch. Except this one was Jogo Vomito as he ended up knocking out a nearby ball boy.
That's my favorite saying.
Yeah, this horror touch was honestly the best moment of the game. I'm not gonna lie to you. Liam Delap watched on knowing he'd seen that touch before. This must have been a tribute to Victor Gyökeres on the other team, you know. Honestly, massive from Liam Rosenior. Sometimes it's deeper than football. I know what's happened here. I know he's not brought his normal shoes to the game. He laced up the Lego ones instead. I will be honest, he's tried the nonchalant gimmick here and it's made him look like a 62 rated non-rare bronze card on FIFA. And one of the angles of it was crazy because you can see his own bench laughing at him in the background. Liam won't have been too pleased when he caught his own assistant creasing at his Romelu Lukaku impression. This man has just aged. But one thing tactically that Liam did try to do in this game, which was pretty different, was try and quell Arsenal's set-piece danger by actually being very brave and leaving 3 players up the other end of the pitch to threaten a counter-attack. Now, this is a nice idea in theory, but to be honest with you, all it really does is give Arsenal's big meaty centre-backs a better and clearer run at the ball. And you're probably at this point wondering why I'm not actually talking about stuff that actually happened in this game. That's because absolutely fucking nothing actually happened in this game. Chelsea offered very little, really, going forward until the latter stages when they brought in some long-range inshalahs. And with that, pushing everyone forward into the last minute on the counter, Arsenal would go forward and Kai Havertz would round Robert Sanchez to wrap up the tie, 1-0 on the night. John Terry was recording himself hoping for a late Chelsea equaliser, only to end up recording himself see the Kai Havertz goal.
Offside, surely is offside. That's the end of our cut rap.
Yeah, that's mint. I'll post that, John. You realise you could have just deleted it after you filmed. Former Chelsea man Kai Havertz pointed at his new Arsenal badge, which is dark as well.
Fuck Chelsea, pussy, or what? Say something.
Clearly not a fan of the Blues anymore himself, and Madueke, another former Chelsea man, celebrated the goal too. They really hate Chelsea, man. Calafiori was on the pitch before Havertz had even put the ball in the back of the net, and the Gunners were cementing their place in the Carabao Cup final. Honestly, probably a good thing for Paul Merson, so that he doesn't have to try and pronounce Esteval's name again.
Wait.
And as for Chelsea supporters, look, listen, this is a tough time, really. Missing out on silverware here. The only thing that they can do is point out that Mikel Arteta was on those fake Epstein documents. He could be seen trying to defend himself, suggesting he was only there to practice set pieces.
But before you judge me, know this. I was on the sex island, but only for the snorkeling. I didn't know anything about the kid stuff.
Wesley Fofana was left in tears at full time. I think he's got PTSD, though, from this. Walking around London, seeing Arsenal flags anywhere and everywhere. Meanwhile, for the Gunners, and the quadruple is actually on. In the other semi, and I'd been getting a semi watching Ryan Shirky play for Man City recently. He'd scored in the first leg of the semi-finals to help give City a 2-goal lead heading over from Newcastle. But would the Magpies be able to mount up? Yeah, this one was over about 7 minutes into the second leg.
You fucking worthless piles of shit!
The final score would be 3-1 here after a brace from Omar Marmoush and episode 3 of the Reinders TV show. With Marmoush getting 2 goals in this game, Erling Haaland still in a bit of a goal-scoring drought, the Norwegian will be forced to hack into his mainframe, given the Egyptian scored more this year in the space of 1 episode of Kitchen Nightmares. Newcastle, I think, had given up by half-time. I mean, they were 5-0 down on aggregate, so I'd like to imagine they had. Eddie Howe, I'm sure, will be trying to remind the Saudi government of the trophy that he won 2 seasons ago when they threatened him with a public beheading. But to be fair, he shouldn't feel too embarrassed by the fact that he got absolutely bent over here, because there wasn't even that many people there to witness it. Yeah, the empty had was on full display. I think only 75% of seats were filled up. It's hard to really do the Poznan if you're a City fan celebrating a goal when it's a plastic seat next to you. Now, I'll be honest, it hasn't been as great a time for Man City in the league. They were facing Tottenham, a Tottenham that have been absolutely useless domestically so far this campaign. So when Pep Guardiola's empty scalp arrived in North London, it was expected Spurs would fold and help in their chase of mortal enemies Arsenal. But it turns out they can't even do that right.
It's the history of the Tottenham.
Spurs came back from 2-0 down versus Man City to give a massive boost to Arsenal in the title race. The first half was insanely one-sided here, okay? Man City were absolutely battering Tottenham. Spurs were playing like they'd seen a circle for the first time about 20 minutes before kickoff. There wasn't much in the way of optimism for Dragusan, who was having to start in this game, and Spurs supporters were trying to locate some compromising info about the Romanian to get him off the pitch. Him versus Haaland was a bit of a mismatch at first, I'm not gonna lie to you. Elsewhere in midfield, Anib Basuma was trying his hardest not to help Arsenal. Though then again, this was probably him before kickoff, so I don't know if he was in a fit state to help anybody. Manchester City could be seen tweeting that Ryan Shirky's just so good at football, and by the time it was 2-0 in this game, Arsenal fans were ready to revoke Thomas Frank's silver membership. But then Tottenham realised they were playing Man City. Spurs have always seemed to get on the wrong side of Pep Guardiola through history, and Dominic Solanke would grab a goal back with a controversial strike that looked like it could have been a foul on Mark Gahey. There was nothing controversial about his second, though, as with the first goal of the week, Dominic Solanke scored his brace with this ridiculous scorpion kick. Genuinely Olivier Giroud level. And at this point, Pep Guardiola must be left depressed when he sees that he's got to play Spurs twice in a Premier League fixture list. Mikel Arteta was a firm Tottenham fan for this night only. And to be fair, speaking of, managers being fans of people, listen, Thomas Frank, he does just love Arsenal after all. Dominic Solanke's been outed as a Gunners supporter as a kid, and now it's all starting to make sense. Mikel Arteta was ready to phone up Pep Guardiola and tell him that the ex-Barca manager was his assistant now.
So was you begging it then, would you say?
Begging what?
Like begging it.
Do you want to get beaten up? What do you mean? Because this is PTSD. What do you mean? Was I begging what?
Is it
Was I
serious?
begging what? Obviously serious.
Again, just another example really of Man City not being that Man City that we're used to under Pep Guardiola, that can go on a run of 20 wins in a row and look completely imperious. I think Mark Gahey's going to improve them defensively, but there's still so many frailties, and they just seem to tire out as well in games right now. There's going to be a lot of tiredness at Spurs, given they've got about 9 fit players at the moment, and their sporting director, Johan Langer, decided to reflect on their January transfer window. It shouldn't be too long, considering they did absolutely nothing. Spurs' board were surprised, realizing the window was even open in the first place. Christian Romero saw all of this develop and has realized he's now getting out of this shit show for good, with an Insta post that may as well have been him Batista bombing the entire board through a table. Now, picture this. You're West Ham United. Oh God, I'm so sorry. That's actually kind of offensive. You're West Ham United. You're playing Chelsea away and you're 2 goals to the good. Crescencio Somerville used his winter gloves to backhand Marc Cucurella into a pot of paella, and Danny Dyer's sort of offspring has doubled your lead. You need to keep hold of it now. What do you do? Bring on Max Kilman. Fucking hell. Are you even trying to win, boy? Predictably, Nuno Espirito Santo Al-Qaeda ball led to West Ham capitulating into a 3-2 comeback defeat versus the Blues.
Yeah, Montana, honestly, I've heard it about a million times.
Liam Rosenior, I think, must have just promised Cole Palmer that he could get a scale extric set at full time if he helped with the comeback. Meanwhile, it was Enzo Fernandez who scored the goal to bring it to 3-2 before chaos actually ensued in this one. Adama Traore was not happy with a lino for a decision where he felt Marc Cucurella had handled the ball. He threw Marc actually into a pot of paella this time. Marc was on his bike immediately after getting chucked into next Wednesday. Joao Pedro watched all of this unfold and decided he'd come in and help. But who the hell did he think he was?
This is the end.
Brother, Adama Traore's built like Canary Wharf. You're not winning this scrap, broski. I just know Joao Pedro was panicking when he saw a weapons-grade ballistic missile heading towards him. Yeah, how about you have that den sunshine? Oh, it's you. Alright, so, yeah, man. Listen, got you there, innit, broski? Come on. I'm just messing with you. God, you are fucking wham, mate. Who's pushed you? Honestly, mate, I've not even seen. I've only just got here. I think it might actually be Mark, furthermore. At Manchester United, and they were back on Chaos Ball shenanigans. They'd taken the lead at Fulham, thanks in part to a Casemiro assist with a no-look pass. Why does he look concerned during it? Bro looks like he's left the oven on and just realised. Either that or he spotted Jamie Carragher down on the touchline. The Brazilian DM brought out the 6-7 celebration for his son. After a great performance in this game, Jamie Carragher had to admit that he was wrong.
I think what Casemiro was doing at Manchester United, and he's getting a great reception as he's leaving at the end of the season. There's no doubt he's bounced back, and it is now fair to say the football has not left him.
All that being said, Manchester United would throw away their 2-goal lead. They'd been given a warning after this despicable offside call from VAR, but proceeded to go West Ham mode anyway, conceding 2 in the final 10 minutes, including this equaliser from Kevin, his first goal for Fulham. Fulham's Twitter admin couldn't believe what they were seeing, but by the time they'd finished typing out this keyboard spam, they were behind again. Benjamin Seschko giving Michael Carrick yet another win at the wheel.
We're gonna win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
He honestly will find a way to win the Champions League trophy at the end of the season, and they're not even in it. His tactics compared to Ruben Amorim, a breath of fresh air, honestly, I'm sure, for United supporters. It was a good day at the office for Arsenal in the league as well. They went 7 points clear at the time with a 4-0 slapping of Leeds. They've got Dons punching the ball into their own net because of how scary their set pieces are. Carl Darlow scoring what was originally an egregious own goal under even 1 molecule of pressure. To be honest with you, Leeds have got a lot to answer for. I think they've literally provided Yok 14 half of his Premier League goals, and really we can't allow that. Liverpool also scored 4 as they put Eddie Howe's Newcastle side to the sword. Thankfully for us, Newcastle in the big old year of 2026 aren't as good as they normally would be, and aren't as caring as they normally would be either. A young girl, a Newcastle mascot, just left literally completely on her own by the entire squad. No one going over to make sure and check that she was okay. Either way, Hugo Ekitike got vengeance on her behalf, scoring a brace with a nuts performance. Even Alexander Isak had to applaud. Hugo would be dunking it on Newcastle supporters when he got substituted off, and it was a nice moment for Ibrahima Konate, who, as well documented by myself, has had a difficult year on the pitch, has now had a difficult year off the pitch with the tragic passing of his father. So it was nice to see him grab a goal, get on the score sheet here. My thoughts with himself and his family. And Everton, meanwhile, and they grabbed a late equaliser against Brighton. David Moyes celebrated by looking like he'd had a hip replacement down on the touchline, and for stepping 2.4 yards onto the pitch, he was given a yellow card. Calafiori can make himself a left winger before Havertz even stuck the ball in the back of the net, but this is a yellow, mate. The game's gone. Harvey Elliott made a long-awaited appearance for Aston Villa this week. Tyrone Mings was at least seeing the funny side of it down in the Insta comments. And the latest orifice that Amadou Onana's decided to put his 3 points into is his sock. There was drama at Palace versus Forest. Palace seemingly about to equalise before Nico Williams handled the ball on the line and got himself sent off. Ismail Assar would stick away the resultant penalty, and Ola Aina was judging Nico at full time.
Hey,
Nico, it happens, man.
Meanwhile, there's the official and tragic news that Wolves are officially out of the title race. That Wolves super team of Jan 2026, I'll never forget you.
We cannot replace him.
In Qatar now, and we had the Match for Hope charity match. Traditionally involves some of the biggest legends in football, as well as a host of content creators from around the world. Content creators-wise, got the likes of KSI, Angry Ginge, and then obviously from a footballer perspective, the likes of Thierry Henry. Kaká has played there before, but Marcelo would be playing left back for one of the sides and brought out this insane back heel penalty in training. Eden Hazard was also training for this one. His age mates are still playing in the Champions League, you know, and this man's doing up International Ballers League. Now, I know Chelsea fans won't be happy at the fact that I'm saying that, but listen, this is what your hero has to say about Chelsea v Real Madrid.
My time at Chelsea was unbelievable. The club, Madrid, it's number one.
Either way, into the game, there was chaos all over the place, and KSI was usually involved. First of all, getting WWE clamped to the ground. This, I've got to say, smooth, like all round, and he sold it well. He'd then do some clamping of his own with this expert challenge on Diego Costa. He'll be getting a West Ham call-up very, very soon. American streamer Lacey, meanwhile, tried to bring out a bicycle kick whilst the ball was still on the ground, and Mr. Beast was attempting to bribe a goalkeeper into letting him score a penalty. And very fitting whilst he's in Qatar. Loads of money and ultimately usually bad working conditions. Boys and girls, it's time for the FNG transfer roundup. He's a shit YouTuber anyway, mate. I've always preferred Maxwell. Hey, yo, what are we saying, guys? Welcome to their transfer roundup, the last place to hear about the news. First of all, in Fabrizio Romano's wet dream, and Liverpool did absolutely nothing. At Crystal Palace, they brought in Wolves striker Jurgen Strand Larsen for $50 million.
$50 million? Who do you think you kidnapped, Chelsea Clinton?
I can't wait to see the chant that booms around Selhurst Park when he arrives.
Strand Larsen, whoa! If you're Newcastle, you ain't have him. You're not going to buy him off it. No.
He was supposed to be replacing Jean-Philippe Mateta, but a French striker's Italian move is off. He got an E- on his medical and is instead sat outside the San Siro demolition site looking sorry for himself. No, genuinely, I don't even know why I have to have his old channel on my head, because I swear that I've never even rated him. And finally, there's the news that Manchester United cancelled a move for one of their very own. Tyrell Malacia was left fuming after a Besiktas move was blocked when he was already ready to head over there. To be honest, I'm just glad that he's alive. He could be seen lying down in customs after already booking his Istanbul flight. In Italy now, Pervis Estupiñán has been getting on the wrong side of Maxi Allegri. He was ranting at the Ecuadorian, saying that his side is not a team that should be doing back heels, even though they were winning 3-0 at the time. That lead was helped in part by Christopher Nkunku, who got himself on the score sheet and celebrated with his favourite piece of Yves Bissouma merchandise again. He even had people on the TV getting involved. Balloons are sweeping the nation again. At Juventus, I'm loving the vibes their players have got at the moment, the likes of Timothy Weah and Weston McKenna and co. But they have got this dance wrong for a celebration, not gonna lie to you. Another celebration gone wrong comes in the form of Pedro, who scored for Lazio and went to celebrate with Lazio fans, except there's none of them there. In fairness, they got a good reason. They're protesting over their owner right now, but it meant the poor man was celebrating with ball boys instead. Meanwhile, Como got FM'd differently this week. They drew 0-0 with an XG over 5. Literally just quit the game and start again, guys. I won't judge you. In Spain now, and there was a late drama for Real Madrid, who just about got the better of Rayo Vallecano through pretty predictable means. Yeah, we need a new badge for these lot, because Kylian got a winner in the 11th minute of injury time from the penalty spot. Great to see they were giving their B team a run out, warming up before kickoff. I love that from them. Mbappe, the hero here, he almost cost his side because he managed to go round the keeper and hit the crossbar with the entire goal at his mercy. Meanwhile, Jude Bellingham kamikazed his own hamstring and he's absolutely fuming with all of his leg muscles. Real have been drawn against Benfica again, possibly in the Champions League. Benfica's goalkeeper Trubin is joyous finding out this information after scoring against them in the group phase. But if he keeps drawing Real Madrid, he's going to be UCL top scorer at this rate. Barca played giant killers Albacete in the Copa del Rey. Fresh off the back of beating Real Madrid, Albacete were unfortunately beaten here. Joan Garcia was grateful for the defending of his centre-back Ronald Araujo. He strolled over to give him a pat on the back with the ball in his hand, so he gave up a corner. Meanwhile, this referee rather suspiciously seemed to want Albacete to score here. In France now, and the Doué brothers met up as PSG faced off against Strasbourg. The greatest fixture in world football once again happened in Ligue 1 this week. Meanwhile, Bamba Dieng of Lorient celebrated by getting a phone out and going live. Old celebration, we need this one a little bit more. In Germany, meanwhile, and shout out to this German referee who proposed to his boyfriend at a game. Cool setting and very happy for them. At Schalke, and supporters of the club decided to offering Bosnian food for new signing Edin Dzeko, who's hit the ground running at the Bundesliga's right side. And what about this for some of the best support in the world, honestly, as FC Köln sent about 50,000 supporters to go and watch a UEFA Youth League game. On UEFA Youth League action, and there were some real giant killings, as Zelina from Slovakia knocked Liverpool out of the tournament. With this banner in the background as well, you can walk alone. Meanwhile, HJK Helsinki of Finland knocked out Manchester City in -10 temperatures. Now that it's time for the rest of your goals of the week, and first of all, we head to Italy, where Ruslan Malinovsky has absolutely pummeled a free kick in against Bologna. And the final goal comes from Vietnam, of all places. We love a goal of the week that comes from a little bit more of a unique nation. And this one does not disappoint as well, with the ball flying back out of the area and met with interest. This stupendous volley into the top corner.
Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty.
He could have been killed.
And that concludes The Beautiful Game.
Now, there is drama in Saudi Arabia, and it involves Big Ron. The Portuguese legend has gone on strike for 2 games in a row for his current club, Al Nassr. Residents across the country don't know where he is. Yeah, it turns out he's unhappy with the lack of Al Nassr investment compared to the other 3 state-owned clubs. For those that don't know, Al Hilal, Al Ahly, and Al Ittihad are also owned by the Saudi government, and he feels as though those teams have been given more players and have been able to spend more money. Rather, they can't afford to sign anyone else because they're paying you. Your wages are the same as the GDP of Luxembourg every 10 minutes.
Over $1.2 billion.
Now, Big Ron here is giving up 500k a day to go on this strike right now, but it was a strike of a different kind that Karim Benzema's been doing. You see, he scored a hat-trick on his debut as he left Al Ittihad for Al Hilal, a transfer that's probably made Ronaldo even more furious. Honestly, what? Leaving Al Ittihad for Al Hilal, brother, that's just the same thing. Like, let's be real. A Saudi to Saudi club move, though. We ain't even seen that before. The money he's just received, they haven't even invented yet. Big Rondo, however, is still fuming at all of this, and he knows exactly where he's heading to get it off his chest. Al Hilal, the new home of Karim Benzema, to be fair, brought out this really cool tifo in their most recent league match, or before the one where Benzema scored a hat-trick. And elsewhere in Saudi transfers, N'Golo Kante has also left Al Ittihad, this time to head to Turkey and Fenerbahce. Their midfield 3 is actually now spookily good. He arrived in Istanbul to a crazy reception, as supporters were really getting in the spirit of racismo. John Duran had some wise words for N'Golo before he headed out of the door to Zenit St. Petersburg.
Get out.
Get out!
Yo!
Yeah!
Yo, shoot it.
Yeah!
Now, a massive shout out to Baris Yilmaz at Galatasaray. There was a nasty collision between Ahmet Kutucu and the goalkeeper of Istanbulspor this week. It left Kutucu unconscious, and Yilmaz came over to basically put him in the recovery position, make sure he didn't swallow his own tongue. Quick reflexes and composure in a very critical situation. And yeah, massive well done to him for being, for thinking quickly on his feet. In Mexico, we've got a different type of 9 in the center of the box. Yeah, it's a K9 who's just ran onto the pitch. And what's absolutely insane is this dog, has gone and grabbed the ball. All right, Fairs. That's why he ran onto the pitch in the first place, let's be honest. But he's not just any old good boy, bro. This is Ankara dog. Because this K9 now goes on a journey of about 75 seconds, holding the ball in his mouth and evading every steward, marshal, and player that you could possibly think of. He charges around for absolutely ages, eventually is put to a stop. But genuinely, get him in the squad, because as a ball carrier, he's doing a serious job. Actor Willem Dafoe could be seen in the stands at Boca Juniors this week, completing the Spider-Man rivalry, given Julian Alvarez used to play for their sworn enemies River Plate. He was being tempted into betting on a 17-fold Argentinian acca.
Leave me alone. Hiding in the shadows. Hiding from who you truly are.
In the world of futsal now, we've got a goalkeeper who stepped out to try and score, only it's backfired just a little bit. In Brazil, and this defender, well, what he's done has backfired a little bit too. Often you get taught at youth level to keep things simple, and he's forgotten about youth level entirely, keeping the ball in play, running back into his own box, and setting up a striker. This might be match fixing. Staying in Brazil, and in a game between Betim and Cruzeiro, the match was paused for 4 minutes so that the goalkeeper of Cruzeiro could go to the toilet. What, 4 minutes? Yeah, that's a number 2 for the number 1. One supporter of Rangers, meanwhile, has decided to engage in some elite level shithousery by booking out hotels in Germany before Celtic play a European tie to drive up the prices for Celtic supporters wanting to go to games. He would then cancel them for no fee just beforehand so that less people could actually go and watch Celtic. Yeah, I mean, just give him the award. This is actually like convoluted and genius. Now though, for the moment you've all been waiting for, because over in Romania, it has been a busy week actually. especially in FTW's favourite nation. It's been a bad week, though, for FCSB, and to be honest, it's been a pretty bad season. They're doing badly in the league right now, and not too much better in Europe. Their pretty controversial president, Gigi Becali, has now fired 3 of their players, and 3 pretty important players for them that have got a big reputation in Dennis Alibek, Dennis Politic, who used to play for Bolton, and Octavian Popescu, because they, quote, don't bring anything to the team. Only in Romania, man. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the nation, and a young midfielder by the name of Rarej Pot has decided to leave the club that he plays for in Rapid Bucharest. Now, he's left them on loan. It's not to get necessarily more experience, it's so that he can get more work experience. He just wants to remain in the capital and close to his university. This man is carrying on his studies by hook or by crook. Now, closer to home and at Watford, they had to delay the start of their game because of a hole found in the net. I mean, you could argue there should be quite a few of them, to be honest with you. Oh, fucking hell, am I right? Come on. Meanwhile, at Watford, there's managerial turmoil as per usual, as Javi Gracia has left the club. I'm asking any Watford manager to stay in charge for a year. At Bradford, and one supporter is getting into the minds of his opponents, not even celebrating his goal, just making sure they see him do a chicken dance in front of them. Yeah, it's a shithousery award. We love to see it. Meanwhile, Northampton town manager Kevin Nolan said that his side missed out on a signing this week. No, it wasn't for a failed medical. No, it wasn't because they ran out of time. It was because the player forgot to actually put his signature on the DocuSign. In Portugal, and third-tier side AD Fafe, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, are going through it, like, in terms of weather at the moment. In fact, they were expecting such bad weather for their Taça de Portugal semi-final, they've decided to dish out free raincoats to all of their supporters. Then at St. Petersburg are attempting to sign a Brazilian by the name of John. Come on, guys. At least put an Enio in there somewhere. A massive shout out to Nuno Santos playing in Portugal. The 30-year-old has spent a long time out injured. He's a Sporting player, and by a long time, I mean a long time. He's missed 463 days of action. The 30-year-old finally returning for a match for the club's B team at Basingstoke, and they called for their players to do a 3K run, all of them to do them separately, whilst for some reason holding an item that started with a B. Apparently most of the side decided to use, you know, normal things that wouldn't cause a scene in the neighbourhood. Billy Upton, however, didn't think that through and decided to run through the entire town with a baseball bat. Meanwhile, spare a thought for this second division Indonesian side, bottom of the league on just 2 points in 18 games, and were handed a 15-0 loss this week. Now there is time for Still 0-0. You guys know the score by now. This is a segment of the show where I bring to the best of Sunday League and amateur football. And look, the weather in January is already pretty bad, okay? You know, we've got cold, we've got potential snow, but at the very, very bare minimum, it rains every single fucking day. So a lot of games do get called off pretty regularly, but at Bilston, they've decided that they're going the extra mile, as clearly one of their ground staff has decided to throw water onto the pitch to get the game purposefully called off. He just couldn't be asked to go into work the next day, let's be honest, and who can blame him? On to the weird stuff though now. The first story comes from the Sweeper Pod. Honestly, I can't recommend them highly enough. They found yet another ridiculous story that comes from the Somali Women's National League of all places. Now, one thing about African football is that the names in Africa are absolutely fucking amazing. I mean, all you need to do is go to like South Africa or Botswana, but this team is extremely confident. They've called themselves Top FC, except unfortunately the results for them on the pitch aren't quite matching. You see, Top FC currently sit bottom of the league. And finally, over in China, you may remember, of course, the Chinese Super League, where the likes of Oscar, Hulk, Carlos Tevez played for a decent portion during the 2010s. It was a league that had a lot of money, but this season it is a league that has a lot of teams starting on negative points. You see, over half, 9 of the 16 teams have been deducted between 5 and 10 points for offences relating to match fixing, gambling, and corruption. And it means that the league table looks like an utter shambles. That, though, is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course, subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at the official FNG on Twitter and on Insta. It's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.